The night my parents locked the door behind me, I stood in the rain holding a plastic bag and a shivering boy I barely knew. My family wouldn't speak to me after the divorce. Weeks later, the boy told me his father owned half the city. I didn't believe him until everything changed. If you found out your husband and your own sister were lying to you for years, would you keep the peace for family's sake, or would you take everything from them, quietly? My name is Julia. I'm 34, an accountant, living in a suburb that looks like every other one near the city. I used to be married. That ended the week after my birthday, when I found a lawyer's letter on the kitchen table and my husband's clothes already gone from the closet. The house felt bigger after that. Quieter but not peaceful. My family took the news like it was an infection. My mother said I'd embarrassed her. My father didn't say much, just left the phone on the table when I called. My brother, Matt, sent a one-line text, "Told you he was too good for you." I went back to work the next day because I didn't know what else to do. I tried to keep my routine. Morning coffee, drive to the firm, run the numbers, nod at the partners. Evenings, I sat at the kitchen table and stared at the wall. A month after the divorce, I had to go in for minor surgery. It was supposed to be outpatient, but they kept me overnight. I woke up in recovery, checked my phone, and saw nothing. Not one call or message. I told myself they were busy. There were signs, looking back. When I was married, family dinners got tense if I spoke too long. My mother always changed the topic. My brother never brought his girlfriend around. I thought it was just how families worked, little silences, small digs, nothing big enough to call out. After the surgery, I stopped reaching out. I started walking more, just to fill the evenings. That's when I met Liam. He was thin, maybe 16, sitting on a curb outside the grocery store, holding a sign that said "Anything helps." I bought him a sandwich. The next week, I saw him again. It was getting cold. He told me the shelters were full. I told him he could stay on my couch for a while. I thought I was helping him, maybe fixing something. He saw me at my worst, before I realized how much lower things could go. The rain came down in sheets. I remember standing there, my bag heavier than it should have been, the strap digging into my shoulder. Liam's hand in mine was cold and damp. We stood on the porch, shoes already soaked through, waiting for the door to open. The porch light buzzed above us, yellow and sickly, making the puddles at our feet look almost green. My mother opened the door just enough so I could see one eye and a slice of her mouth. She didn't look at me, not straight on. Her hand came out first, holding a check between two fingers. Even in the half-light, I saw it was torn clean through the middle. The numbers were cut in half, my name just barely readable. She dropped it at my feet. It landed in a puddle and started to dissolve, ink bleeding into the water. "You made your choices," she said. Her voice was flat, tired. My father stood behind her. He didn't say anything. He just watched me with that blank look he always had when things were bad, like he was somewhere else already. My brother was behind both of them, in the shadow of the hallway. Arms crossed. He wouldn't meet my eyes. He kept looking at the floor, the wall, anywhere but at me. I could smell dinner inside. Roast chicken, maybe. Something warm. It was almost 6. I'd called ahead, said we were coming, said we had nowhere else for tonight. No one said no, but no one said yes either. Just silence on the phone, and then a click. Liam squeezed my hand. He was shivering, jaw clenched. He didn't say anything, but I could feel his question. What now, in the way his fingers tightened around mine? I wished I had an answer that didn't sound desperate. The porch light flickered once, then snapped off. My mother pulled the door shut. The click was soft, but it felt final. I heard the bolt slide into place. We stood there another minute. I stared at the door, half expecting it to open again, for someone to come out, maybe just my father, maybe my brother. But nothing. I bent down and picked up the check. The paper fell apart in my hand, wet and useless. I let it drop back into the puddle. Liam let go of my hand to wipe his face. Water streaked down from his hair, soaking his collar. He looked at me, eyes wide, not angry, just scared. I tried to look steady for him. I told myself not to cry, not here, not now. The street was empty. I could hear the rain hitting the leaves, the sound of a car a few blocks over. I thought about calling someone, but my phone was dead, battery gone since the afternoon. I didn't want to ask my parents for anything else. I didn't want to knock on the door again. We stood under the porch for a while, not talking, just listening to the rain. After a few minutes, Liam shifted his bag on his shoulder and checked his pocket for the bus ticket. He kept his eyes down. I looked back at the house one last time. The curtains in the front window twitched. I wondered if my mother was watching, or if my brother was peeking through the gap. I couldn't see anyone. Just the glow of the TV, blue and soft on the walls. I turned away first. Liam followed. We stepped off the porch and into the street, puddles swallowing our feet. The check was gone by then, torn pieces floating in the gutter, already breaking apart. My mother's words stayed with me. You made your choices. I kept walking, the rain running down my back, the house getting smaller behind me. No keys, no family, just the sound of our footsteps in the water. We stood close under the narrow concrete overhang, rain blowing sideways across our shoes. My fingers were stiff, and I fumbled with my phone. I pressed my mother's number, knuckles white, and listened to the first 3 rings. She picked up but didn't say my name. You did this to yourself, she said. I could hear the kitchen TV behind her, something loud and cheerful. You chose to ruin our name. Don't call again. The line went dead before I could answer. The dial tone stayed longer than I expected, then faded. I pressed call again, feeling my throat close, but she must have blocked me. Straight to voicemail. Liam shifted beside me, silent. I tried my brother next. It rang, didn't go to voicemail, just rang and rang. I pictured his face, half asleep, seeing my name and letting it sit there. The rain drummed hard on the metal above us. He didn't pick up. I slid the phone into my pocket. My hands shook, a little. I stared at my shoes, water leaking in at the sides. I heard a car splash by on the main road, people safe and warm inside. My mouth tasted like metal. Liam shrugged off his jacket. It was thin, frayed at the cuffs, but he held it out. Here, he said, draping it over my shoulders. You'll get sick. I stared ahead, not moving. The wool itched my neck. They didn't deserve you, he said. His voice was soft, like he was telling a secret. I kept my hands at my sides. The jacket smelled faintly of coffee and cigarettes. I wanted to say something, but my jaw felt locked. I thought if I tried to speak, I'd start shouting, and the sound would bounce off the stone and someone would call the police. Liam's hand hovered near my shoulder, then dropped. He stepped back, giving me space. The rain eased a little, but the cold felt sharper. I breathed in and out, slow, counting. My phone buzzed once in my pocket, an alert, not a call. I didn't check it. He reached into his backpack and pulled out a half-crushed granola bar, holding it out. I shook my head. I couldn't eat. My stomach was a knot. Don't let them get to you, he said, staring out at the parking lot. You did what you had to. His words hung there, not touching me. I watched a woman run to her car, coat pulled tight, keys out. For a second I wanted to be her, someone with a place to go, someone whose mother would answer and say, come home, we'll talk about it. Instead I stood here, shivering under a stranger's jacket. Liam's phone buzzed too. He glanced at it, swiped a message away. I wondered if anyone was looking for him. Probably not. He slid his phone back into his bag. We stood together, not speaking, while the sky stayed gray and the traffic thinned. I thought about calling my father, but I pictured his silence, the weight of it. I didn't need to hear it again. The rain slowed. I shrugged the jacket tighter around me, feeling the scratch of the lining. My throat hurt from holding everything in. Liam looked at me, waiting, but I shook my head. He nodded, like he understood. After a while, he said, "We should go somewhere warm." I nodded, not trusting myself to talk. My legs felt heavy. I followed him out from under the overhang, into the wet air, jacket clutched close. My phone stayed silent. I didn't look back. We walked to the bus station fast, partly because the wind was picking up and partly because it felt better to move than to talk. I kept my eyes on the cracks in the sidewalk, counting them, listening to the sound our shoes made together. Liam said nothing. He was close enough that I could see the goosebumps on his forearm. He dug into his jacket pockets, first the left and then the right, and then back again, like he was patting himself down for keys he might have lost. I glanced over. He didn't look at me. The buses were late, maybe because of the rain earlier. People huddled under the shelter, but we stood outside. Liam leaned against the glass, pulled out some lint, a receipt, then finally a crumpled white envelope. He looked at me, face blank. He straightened the envelope with the heel of his hand, then opened it and took out a business card. The card was thick, almost like cardboard, with a silver border and a clean blue skyscraper logo at the top. It looked expensive, like something you'd keep instead of throw away. Liam held it out. I took it, my fingers brushing his. The name in heavy letters, Elias W. Brandt, CEO. The address was the main street downtown, the one with the mirrored building. I looked up at him. He waited, eyes steady. "My father owns half the city," he said, voice flat. He said it like a fact, like telling someone their shirt was inside out. I ran my thumb over the raised lettering, then looked at him again. "Elias Brandt. That's your dad." He nodded, barely moving his head. "Liam Brandt," he said, almost under his breath. "I don't use it at school. Never liked it." I stared at the card again. I'd seen Elias Brandt on billboards, in the paper, in those interviews before big building projects. He had a face like a stone wall. He was always described as ruthless, a self-made man, big on legacy. I never put it together. Liam always signed his emails L. Warren. I thought it was his middle name. I handed the card back, but he didn't take it. People were moving around us, a woman with a stroller, a guy in a suit talking into his phone. None of them looked at us. My hand stayed out, holding the card. He finally took it and slid it back into the envelope. "You probably have questions." His voice was quiet. I didn't want anyone to know. I didn't say anything for a while. I thought about all the times he'd met me at the cheap pizza place, pulled bus fare out of his wallet, been careful about splitting things. He never acted rich. He never complained about his life, but he never shared much either. "Why are you telling me now?" I asked. He shrugged. "You saw the envelope." I figured it was time. He looked at the ground. "I didn't want you to think I was hiding it. But I guess I was." The bus rumbled up then, brakes hissing. People started to line up. I didn't move. He stood there, waiting for me. I asked, "Does anyone else at school know?" He shook his head. "Only you." A small part of me felt angry, but mostly I was just cold. I thought about all the stories he'd never told. I thought about how different everything looked now, like a light had been switched on in a dark room. I stepped onto the bus first and found a seat by the window. He sat next to me, hands in his lap. We didn't talk for the first few blocks. The city slid by, all glass and lights, the Brandt Tower standing out above everything else. I tried to picture Liam as someone with a powerful father, someone with money and secrets. He looked the same as before, but everything felt different. He finally said, "I just wanted to be normal with you." I watched our reflection in the window. I didn't answer. The bus kept moving. The card was still pressed between the pages of my notebook, heavy as a stone. We didn't sleep, not really. The chairs were plastic and cold, the lights never dimmed, and the cleaning staff came through every hour. By 3 a.m, we stopped pretending to rest. Liam curled his jacket under his head and watched the arrival's board flicker. I kept my phone plugged into the wall, hugging my knees, trying not to stare at him. Around 5, the hall filled with voices and suitcase wheels. I saw a family arguing in Polish, a man pacing in scrubs. The world kept moving while we sat like baggage. When the Wi-Fi came back, I opened a browser. My fingers shook a little, but I typed Elias Brandt and hit search. The results loaded slowly. First came the real estate profiles, then old photos. Elias at a ribbon cutting, Elias with a silver shovel, Elias shaking hands with the mayor. I scrolled through page after page. In every picture, he was taller than the people beside him. He wore dark suits, no wedding band. His hair was thinner than Liam's. Property records came next. Various LLCs, all with the same mailing address. Headlines about a new retail complex, a legal dispute over zoning. There was even a magazine feature. The self-made man, Elias Brandt, king of the West Side Corridor. Liam watched me. He hadn't asked what I was doing, but he knew. His jaw was set. I could see where he got the shape of his eyes. I held out my phone. The article was on the screen. Elias Brandt stands with his arm around a city councilwoman, both of them smiling at a model of a shopping plaza. I waited for Liam to look. He didn't reach for the phone, just glanced at it from where he sat. "That's him," I said. "Yeah," he said. "That's him." I scrolled down. There was a quote from Elias about building community legacy. I read it out loud. Liam didn't react. He picked at a loose thread on his jeans. "He's in the news a lot," I said. "Is this all new to you?" "No," he said. "I know about the buildings." "Have you ever met him?" I asked. He shook his head. "Once, when I was a kid. He gave me a toy car and left. He never wanted a son." I waited. The terminal got brighter as the sun rose behind the windows. People started queuing at the coffee stand. "You could call him," I said. "He won't answer," Liam said. "He doesn't talk to my mom." "She was." He stopped and looked away. "She was a mistake." I kept scrolling. A property transfer dated last year. The name on the deed was Brandt, but the second party wasn't familiar. I asked if Liam knew who it was. He shrugged. "He doesn't talk about us," Liam said. "I'm not part of his life." "Why did your mom keep his name?" I asked. "She thought he'd come back. Or maybe she liked the way it sounded." A woman dropped her coffee near us. The lid popped off, and the liquid splashed across the tiles. Liam flinched when it hit his shoe. He wiped it off slowly. "Do you hate him?" I asked. "No," he said. "He's just not real to me." We sat in silence while the cleaning crew mopped up the spill. The station intercom announced delays. I closed the tabs on my phone. I thought about how many cities in this state had his name on a plaque somewhere. Liam leaned his head back and closed his eyes. I watched a train pull out of the station, streaking away from us. The air smelled like burnt coffee and cold metal. When he opened his eyes, he said, "Are you going to tell anyone?" "Not yet," I said. He nodded and didn't ask again. The sun came up behind the parking lot. The world outside looked empty, like the start of something we hadn't chosen. Liam sat across from me at the kitchen table, his hands restless against his mug. He hadn't said much since he arrived. It was past midnight, the house silent except for the clock ticking. He slid his phone across the table to me, not meeting my eyes. "Look at this," he said. On the screen was a string of messages. The number wasn't saved. The last message, sent 2 days ago, just said, "Don't contact me again." "Who is this?" I asked. He hesitated. "My father," he said. I looked at the name at the top of the screen, just a number. No contact photo, nothing to suggest family. He swiped to his photo gallery and scrolled fast, as if he didn't want to see the images himself. He stopped at an old photo. 4 people stood in front of a building, bright ribbons stretched across the doors. I saw a younger Elias next to a woman I recognized from family gatherings. His wife, I guessed. A small, dark-haired boy held the scissors. The timestamp said 2011. "That's me," Liam said. I stared at the boy. Same eyes as Liam, but thinner, smiling. He pointed at the others. "That's my dad. That's my mom. That's the old community center." My dad cut the ribbon, but I did the work with him, every weekend. He used to tell people I was his mini-me. Now look. He pulled up his father's Facebook page. He scrolled through recent photos. Business dinners, charity runs, more ribbon cuttings. Elias was in all of them, sometimes smiling, sometimes serious. But Liam was nowhere. Not in holiday shots, not in birthday posts, not even in group pictures where I remembered seeing him in person. "He pays to keep me invisible," Liam said. "He makes people crop me out, delete me from tags. Even my old teachers, he asked them not to mention me. He says it keeps his life simple." His voice didn't shake. It sounded practiced, like he'd told the story before. I looked at the phone, then at him. I remembered the last family photo I'd seen. My parents, my brother, and a gap where I should have been. Cropped out, as if I'd never existed. I said, "He does the same to me." I didn't mean to say it. It just slipped out. Liam nodded. "I know. He's done it to a lot of people. If you don't make him look good, you don't exist." He finished his tea in one swallow. I watched the muscles in his jaw twitch. I wondered how many times he'd tried to get back in, knocking at a door that wouldn't open. I thought about the last message my mother sent, the way she wrote my name like it was a mistake. I wondered if there were more like us people who'd been erased for asking questions, or for seeing too much. Liam's phone buzzed with a calendar reminder. He silenced it without looking. I handed the phone back. He didn't take it right away. "It's not just you," he said. "You're not alone in this." I looked at the old picture again. The boy in the photo looked happy to be there, like he thought he belonged. I wondered when I'd realized it, too. The kitchen felt smaller. The silence between us was different now. Not empty, but heavy. I didn't know what I was supposed to say, so I just pushed his phone back across the table. "I get it," I said. He nodded, pocketed the phone. I didn't either. We sat there, 2 people who'd been erased, the only proof left in old photos and unsent messages. It was enough. We sat in his car for a while, neither of us saying much. Liam tapped the steering wheel, his knee bouncing. He looked over at me. "You should come with me to Brant's office." I stared out the window. "I don't want to see him." Liam shook his head. "He won't talk to me. But he'll see you. He remembers everyone who crossed him." I didn't answer. Liam put the car in gear. "Just sit in. You don't have to say anything." He pulled away from the curb before I could decide. We drove in silence, both watching the road, the city sliding by in gray blocks. I tried not to think about the last time I saw Brant. My stomach felt tight. At a red light, I asked him, "What did you mean crossed him?" Liam's jaw shifted. "My father fired your brother last year." He said it like he'd been rehearsing it. My throat went dry. "What? Why didn't you tell me?" Liam kept his eyes forward. "You knew something happened. Your brother stopped talking to you. Your parents wouldn't let you come home for Christmas." I stared at the dashboard. The timeline lined up. My brother's calls had stopped last spring. My mother hung up on me twice. I thought it was about the wedding, or me moving, or the same old things. I never thought about Brant's job. Liam kept talking, voice low. "My father came home fuming that day. He said your brother was mouthing off, blaming other people for his own numbers. My father hates that. He let him go on the spot." I tried to remember what my brother had said to me in his last email. He sounded tired. He'd written, "You never take my side." That was all. "So that's why he hates me," I said. Liam nodded. "Your family blamed you for his rage. They think you're the reason he lost it." "Why would they think that?" My voice sounded strange in my ears. Liam shrugged. "They need someone to blame." We pulled into the parking lot. Brant's car was there, the silver one with the dented bumper. The building looked smaller than I remembered. I watched the windows, waiting for a light to flicker or a shadow to move. Liam turned off the engine. He looked at me. "You don't have to go in." I nodded. I was cold all over, but I followed him anyway. Inside, the hallway smelled like burnt coffee and dust. The receptionist glanced up, then looked away. Brant's office door was closed. Liam knocked twice, hard. After a pause, the door opened. Brant stood there, face blank, eyes sliding from Liam to me. He smiled, a tight thing. "I remember you," he said to me. I nodded. Liam shifted beside me. "We need to talk," he said. Brant stepped aside, letting us in. The office was neat, stacks of paper lined up, photos of his family on the shelf. I sat on the edge of a chair, hands folded. Brant looked at me. "So, you're back." His tone was flat, controlled. I glanced at Liam, who was watching the carpet. "I heard you fired my brother," I said. Brant's lip curled. He crossed a line. "I don't tolerate that." I felt the urge to ask what line, but I stayed quiet. Brant picked up a pen, spun it in his fingers. "You want something." Liam cleared his throat. "We need to know what you're planning." "About the bonuses." "About the layoffs." Brant's eyes flicked to me, then back to Liam. "That's not your concern anymore," he said. I looked at the photo on his desk. His wife, 2 kids, all smiling. I wondered what he'd told them about people like us. Brant tapped the desk. "I suggest you both leave." I stood up. My legs felt shaky. Liam followed. At the door, Brant said, "Tell your brother I don't owe him anything." I nodded and walked out. In the hallway, Liam let out a breath. That went about as well as I expected. I kept walking, not waiting for him. I didn't feel angry or sad. Mostly, I felt empty. The pieces all fit now, but nothing changed. Brant's building looks colder up close. The glass is so clean you can see your own face in it, warped by the angles. Liam's grip on my elbow gets tighter as we walk in. The lobby is all stone floors and empty, echoing sound, like it's designed to make you feel smaller. There's a uniformed security guard behind a shiny desk. He glances at Liam first, then at me, then back at the desk. Liam clears his throat and slides a business card across the marble. The guard picks it up, reads it, and flicks his eyes up at us again. He doesn't smile. He leans over, says something low to the receptionist. She looks flustered, her hands hover over the keyboard. Then she lifts the phone and dials. She keeps her voice quiet, but I hear my name, clipped and formal. Her free hand fidgets with her necklace. The call only lasts a few seconds. She hangs up and stands. Please wait here. Liam shifts from foot to foot, pretending patience. I stay still. The guard glances at his monitor, then at Liam's shoes. A woman appears at the far end of the lobby. She's in a dark suit, tablet against her chest, hair in a tight knot. She doesn't look at Liam. She walks straight to me and stops. Mister, Brant will see you. Alone. Liam's mouth opens. He looks at me, then at the woman. He knows I'm here, I say. He invited both of us. She doesn't blink. Mister, Brant asked for you specifically. He's waiting upstairs. Liam's hand finds my arm again. He leans close, voice low. This isn't what we agreed on. I keep my eyes on the assistant. I expected Brant to want Liam, not me. I nod, not trusting my voice for a second. The assistant gestures to the elevators. I'll be right here, Liam says. Call if you need me. The assistant walks ahead. I follow her. The elevator doors slide open without a sound. Inside, she presses a code, then the top floor. We ride up in silence. I'm aware of my heartbeat more than anything. The elevator stops. She leads me down a hallway lined with abstract paintings, past doors that hide whatever business happens here. She stops outside a glass-walled office. I see him before he sees me, Brant, alone, standing by the window. His back is straight. He turns when the door opens, studies me for a long moment. Thank you, he says to his assistant. She leaves without a word. Brant gestures to a chair across from his desk. I sit, hands in my lap, knees together. You came, he says. You asked, I say. He considers me. I can't read his face. You know why you're here. I shake my head. He leans forward, elbows on the desk. My son lies, Mrs. Keller. He lies to everyone. What did he promise you? I look at the floor. He said he could fix things. Brant nods, like that's what he expected. You're not the first. He likes to play the hero. I wait. He slides a folder toward me. Inside, my own emails, printed out and clipped. Some are months old. Some I forgot I'd written. He must see the surprise on my face. I know more about you than you realize, he says. My son wanted me to make your problem disappear. He does that for people, then he takes credit. Or money. I don't say anything. He watches my hands, gripping the folder. Why did you come with him? I swallow. I thought he cared. I didn't want to lose anything else. He stares at me. You're the first one who's honest about that. He stands, goes to the window again. The city looks small from up here. Go back downstairs, he says quietly. You won't see my son again. I'll handle it now. He doesn't look at me. I stand, folder pressed to my chest, and walk out. The assistant is waiting, already walking ahead, not asking questions. In the elevator, I don't look at my reflection. When the doors open, Liam is there, trying to look casual, but his shoulders are tight. Just you, he says. Just me. He doesn't ask what happened. We walk out of the glass tower together, but something's shifted. I can feel it in the silence. Brant's office looked like a hotel lobby, all glass and leather. It felt too cold for the kind of conversation I knew was coming. I waited by the door until his secretary gave a little nod. He motioned with a hand and didn't bother to stand. Come in, have a seat. He didn't look up at first. I sat across from him, my knees just grazing the edge of his desk. There was a glass of water already waiting for me, no ice. He offered coffee, like we were strangers at a conference. Coffee or tea? I shook my head. My palms left faint marks on my skirt. He glanced at my hands, then at the file in front of him. My name was typed on the tab. The folder was thick, and the edges looked worn. I saw a few old HR forms poking out, a printout from my LinkedIn, and a copy of the divorce judgment, the blue county seal impossible to miss. There was also a page I recognized from the courthouse, the restraining order my sister filed after my mother's funeral. My stomach tightened, but I kept my face still. He tapped the file with a single finger, then opened it. He didn't turn it around for me to see. Instead, he read a line, closed it again, and set it just out of my reach. "You helped my son," he said. His tone was flat, rehearsed. "I want to repay you, but only on my terms." He slid a folder across the desk. The paper was heavy, more expensive than any resume I'd ever printed. The words, "Non-disclosure agreement," were in bold at the top. There was a yellow sticky note with my name and a blank line for my signature. He waited. I didn't touch the folder. "Repay me how?" I asked. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. His face barely moved. "We keep this between us," he said. "I'll ensure your contract is renewed. A promotion, if you want. Better insurance. I even have a contact at your old firm, if you'd rather go back." He tapped the NDA. "Sign this, and none of what happened with Brian, or your family, or any of the things in that file, none of it will ever be an issue for you again." I looked at the folder. The file on his desk was still open just enough for me to see the corner of a photo, my wedding day, probably scanned from my mother's phone. I stared at my hands, at the dark veins showing through the skin. "Is this a threat?" He didn't answer. He just moved the NDA a little closer. "I want to help you," he said. "But you have to help me keep things quiet." I sat back in my chair. The office was silent, except for the ticking of the wall clock. I could hear my own breathing. I looked at the windows, saw my reflection small, hunched, trying to look calm. "What if I don't sign?" He leaned back, his chair creaking. He didn't answer right away. I noticed a faint scratch on his wrist, old enough to be fading. "That wouldn't be wise," he said. "Your family problems are complicated. Your employment history, the restraining order, the medical leave last year. All things that could make your next job search difficult. But I can make all that go away. You deserve a fair shot. I can give you one." He waited, like he knew I was weighing every word. The NDA felt heavy in my hand. The paper was warm from the sunlight, the pen waiting beside it. He watched my face, searching for something. I realized then that he didn't expect me to say no. Not to him. I set the folder down without opening it. "I need time to think." He nodded, finally looking away. "Take the day," he said. "But not more." I left the office with the folder under my arm. My hands shook as I closed the door behind me. The glass didn't muffle his voice when he made his next call. My name sounded small in his mouth. I walked down the hall, the folder pressed tight against my chest, thinking about what he could actually do and what I was willing to risk. Brant's office is colder than the lobby. The lights overhead are sharp, buzzing. He sits across from me, his suit jacket off, sleeves rolled up, watching me like I'm a puzzle he's already solved. I don't bother looking at the skyline behind him. My hands rest on the edge of his desk, palms flat. I say no NDAs. That's not negotiable. He's silent. His fingers steeple. The clock clicks on the wall. I add, Liam needs a place to stay. I need work. Nothing else is on the table. He looks at me for a long time. I don't look away. There's a legal pad in front of him, half filled with his tight handwriting. He slides it aside and opens his laptop. The keys click as he types something. I can see my name reflected in the dark glass. He says, "I don't give things for free." "You know that." I nod. "I'm not asking for free. I'm asking for terms." He types again. There's a sound from the printer behind him. He stands, pulls out a thick stack of paper, and lays it in front of me. The top page is a property deed. My name is at the top, black and bold. The address is the place I toured last week, the one with the peeling paint but a solid roof. It's not fancy, but it's safe. He says, "You live there." Liam stays as my guest. No rent. Utilities covered. You'll manage the foundation's financial accounts. Salary, S on page 4. He slides over a second stack employment contract, already signed by him. There's a blank space for my signature. He leans back in his chair, watching. I read the contract. No non-disclosure clause. No strange requirements. The salary is more than I expected, not enough to make me suspicious, but enough to steady my hands. The foundation's accounts are clean, audited quarterly. He's not hiding anything illegal. I flip through to the end. There's a 6-month trial period. I pick up the pen. I ask, "What about medical for Liam?" He says, added. It's in the benefits section. He takes out his phone and types something, a short text. His face is blank. My own phone buzzes on the desk, screen lighting up. I flip it over. The notification is from my bank. Direct deposit, first paycheck processed. I sign. He hands me the deed, folded into a manila envelope, and the contract clipped together. His hands never shake. He says, "You start Monday. HR will call you." I nod. I stand. For a second, there's nothing but the sound of the city outside, muffled by glass. He says, "You can tell Liam yourself." He's waiting in the lobby. I don't thank him. I don't ask him why. As I walk past his desk, I pause, just long enough for him to look up. I say, "This isn't a favor. This is business." He says, "I know." I leave. The door clicks shut behind me. My hands are steady. The envelope is heavier than I expected. There's no relief, just a sense of moving pieces falling into place. I walk down the hallway, past the assistant's desk. She glances at me, then looks away. When I reach the lobby, Liam is sitting on the edge of a sofa, backpack at his feet. He stands when he sees me, hope and fear on his face, like he's bracing for bad news. I say, "We have a place. You'll stay with me. I have a job." He doesn't speak right away. Just nods. The silence is almost comfortable. We walk out together. The city feels different, less sharp, more distant. I don't tell him the terms. Not yet. I let him hold the envelope, feel the weight of it. We stand on the sidewalk while traffic moves past. I breathe in. The air tastes like rain and exhaust. He asks, "Is it over?" I say, "Not yet." But it started. The movers left around noon. I signed the last page and handed back the pen. The apartment was smaller than the house, but clean. White walls, new floors, nothing to remind me of the old living room or the family photos I boxed up and left in storage. Liam wandered through the hallway and stopped at the second bedroom. He touched the closet door, looked at me. "Can I put my desk in here, or is it for guests?" "It's your room," I said. He nodded, disappeared inside, and I heard him opening dresser drawers, soft thuds as he moved boxes. I sat at the kitchen table and opened my laptop. There were emails from HR, some receipts from the moving company, and one from my brother. The subject line was blank. I hovered over it for a second, letting the cursor flicker. Then I clicked. You stole my job. Below that, a line break, then an Excel attachment. I downloaded it. The payroll spreadsheet from my old company. There were the names. My brother S was missing. Mine had a new label, consultant. The numbers were smaller, but the row was highlighted in yellow. I stared at the screen. My brother had never sent me a direct message like this. The last time we talked it was about who would take Mom to the specialist. Now, it was a file attachment and one sentence. The phone buzzed. I let it go to voicemail. A minute later, it buzzed again. I kept staring at the spreadsheet. I closed the tab and opened the voicemail app. My mother's voice was tight. You're embarrassing us again. First you leave, now you take things that don't belong to you. I don't know what you think you're doing, but we raised you better than this. People talk. You need to stop. She hung up. There was no greeting, no sign-off. I deleted the voicemail and blocked her number. I put the phone face down on the table. Liam came out with a box of books. He set them down and looked at me. Did something happen? No, I said. He waited, but I didn't say more. He went to fill his water bottle at the sink. I stood up and opened the window over the sink. The street below was quiet. I watched two women push strollers across the crosswalk. A delivery van parked, the driver checking his phone. The air smelled faintly of rain. I unpacked 2 plates, a mug, a glass. Set them on the counter. I found the box of silverware, unwrapped a fork, and dropped the paper into the trash. Every movement felt deliberate, like I was proving something to myself. My laptop pinged again. I didn't open it. I put the plates away, stacked the empty boxes by the door. Liam finished with the books and started sorting his headphones, winding the cords, setting them in rows on his desk. Let me know if you need help with dinner, he said. I nodded. When I sat back at the table, I saw another email from my brother. No subject. Just a link to a news article about layoffs in the local section. No message. I closed the tab. I looked around the apartment. The echo was different. No voices through the wall, no footsteps above. I could hear my own breath. I went to the bathroom, washed my hands, and let the water run a little longer than needed. When I came out, the light in Liam's room was on. He had put up an old poster, the corners taped flat. His desk lamp cast a circle on the floor. He was humming. I sat on the edge of my bed, phone in hand, but didn't unlock it. I listened for footsteps in the hall. There were none. The only sound was boxes being opened, the careful tearing of tape. I lay back, eyes open. Later, when I checked my phone, there were 3 missed calls from my mother. No new messages. The number was already blocked. I went into settings and blocked my brother, S, as well. The silence felt final. I set the phone on the nightstand and turned off the light. Liam came downstairs, holding a folded piece of paper. He didn't say anything at first, just set it on the kitchen counter and waited. I was rinsing dishes. I saw his hands shaking, just a little. He said my name, flat, not angry, not soft. Just like he'd run out of words before he even started. He slid the paper toward me. I dried my hands and picked it up. The handwriting was old, the paper yellowed at the corners. I recognized Brant's sharp, slanted script before I read the first line. If you're reading this, I failed you. Liam watched my face. I read the rest. Brant's words were short, not the kind of thing you write to a child. He wrote about disappointment, about how some things can't be fixed. And at the bottom, in smaller letters, but I trust Julia. She knows what it means to start over. Liam said he wrote this 5 years ago. Before he even knew you, right? I looked at him. I didn't answer. Not right away. My mind went back 5 years ago, the first time Brant and I met, how casual it all seemed. How quickly he'd insisted I come around, help with his son, join them for dinners I'd thought were just friendly. Liam pulled out a chair and sat. He looked tired, older for a moment. He said, "Did he set this up? Did he want you here before you even moved in?" I sat across from him. The letter was still between us. I said, "I don't know. I think he hoped for something. Maybe he planned more than he let on." Liam didn't look at me. He tapped the table, thinking. Then he got up and left the kitchen. I sat with the letter for a while. The house felt too quiet. Later that night, Brant came home. He took off his coat, dropped his keys in the bowl, noticed the letter on the counter. He didn't even look surprised. I followed him into the hall. "I found Liam's letter," I said. He nodded. I waited. He just stood there, not defensive, just waiting for me to speak. "So it was always planned. You wanted me here for him. Not for me." He looked past me, at the window. "I needed someone who understood loss," he said. "Someone who wouldn't run. You lost your family. I knew you, stay." For him. It was the first time he'd ever said it out loud. I waited for something else. He didn't apologize. He didn't say he was sorry for pulling me in, or for using my pain as a test. "You could have told me," I said. He shook his head. "You would have left. You would have resented both of us." I did what I thought was best. He turned away, started up the stairs. I stayed in the hallway, holding the old letter. All the years I'd spent in this house, thinking I'd been chosen for myself, not for what I'd survived. It wasn't anger that hit me. It was something quieter. A kind of relief. The truth was out. I put the letter back where Liam had left it, on the counter, in plain sight. No more secrets. Brant went to bed early. I heard the door shut. I stayed downstairs, listening to the silence. The world didn't end. No one yelled. It was just 3 people, finally knowing what roles they'd been given. I stopped answering my parents, calls the week after the papers went through. My phone would light up around 8 p.m., same as always, but I'd set it face down on the kitchen counter and let it buzz until it stopped. After a while, the calls became less frequent. A few days would go by. Then a week. I never blocked their numbers. I just let the silence sit between us. Liam started at his new school in September. He was quiet the first couple days, but he got used to the walk together in the mornings. He'd say bye at the gate and not look back. I'd watch him go in, hands shoved in his pockets, head down. He came home with worksheets, library books, a blue lunchbox that came back empty most days. I set up a routine homework at the table, dinner at 6, bedtime by 9. He didn't ask when he'd see them again. I didn't bring it up. Brant mailed the first check at the end of the month. It came in a plain envelope, no note. I took it straight to the bank without thinking about it too much. They always cleared. There was a cold, precise rhythm to it. Check arrives. I deposit, the balance goes up, nothing else changes. I never called to say thank you. He never called to ask about Liam. On weekends, we made pancakes. Sometimes we went to the movies. I bought Liam a used bike. He rode it in the empty parking lot behind our building, while I watched from the curb. Other parents passed by, nodding, but nobody stopped to talk. I didn't mind. I kept my head down, too. I made sure he had what he needed: new shoes, a haircut, a winter jacket before it got cold. I kept receipts in a folder, just in case someone ever asked. My mother sent one more letter. I found it in the mailbox, wedged between a grocery flyer and a bank statement. The handwriting on the front was careful, almost shaky. I didn't open it. I stood at the kitchen sink, turned the envelope over in my hands, then fed it into the shredder. The sound was loud for a few seconds, then it was gone. I emptied the bin into the trash and tied the bag tight. After that, no more letters came. My father didn't call anymore either. I cleaned out the hall closet and boxed up the last of the things from my old life family photos, birthday cards, some jewelry my mother had given me years ago. I put the box on the top shelf and closed the door. Most mornings, things felt quiet. I set the alarm, made breakfast, packed lunches. There was less weight on everything. Liam started leaving his bedroom door open at night. He played music while he did his math homework, low and steady so it wouldn't bother me. Sometimes, when I checked on him, he'd be asleep already, the lamp still on. I'd turn it off and pull the blanket up without waking him. I didn't tell people what happened. If anyone asked, I said Liam was living with me now, that things were fine. No one pressed for details. People moved on quickly. I put my head down at work and got through the days. On the bus home, I listened to the same playlist, watched the city go by, and didn't think about anything at all. Every month, another check arrived. I tore open the envelope, signed the back, and moved on. The shredder stayed empty after that last letter. I didn't expect an apology. I didn't need one. It was better this way, quiet, simple. I made dinner, washed dishes, turned out the lights. Liam slept down the hall. The phone stayed silent. I didn't answer. I didn't want to. 6 months after everything, the apartment feels like neutral ground. No trace of them here, none of the old pictures, none of my mother's loud colors, none of my father's sharp laughter. I wake up before my alarm most days. I make coffee, I check my phone, I walk to work. There's a kind of peace in not expecting anything from anyone. Liam comes over on weekends. He brings groceries or a plant. He never asks about my parents. Sometimes he helps me fix small things, a loose cabinet door, a wobbly table leg. He's better. You can see it in the way he stands up straight now, the way he talks about new friends at his job. We talk about nothing special, work, movies, things we saw on the street. It's quiet. Sometimes we sit and don't say much. I don't feel like I should fill the silence. I haven't blocked my family. I just don't reply. They sent messages at first, then my mother called, then nothing. My father's birthday passed, and I sent nothing. It felt less like revenge, and more like letting the ground close up behind me. My new friend, her name, is Marable Lives across the hall. She's older, divorced, lost her son to distance and arguments. She brings soup when she cooks too much. We watch old shows together. She doesn't push. I don't explain. I keep my head down at work. I do what I need to, nothing extra. The boss leaves me alone. It's better this way. I don't owe anyone anything. I'm not waiting for anyone to chain. Most nights, I read or listened to the city through the window. It's not happiness, but it's relief. That's enough. A year later, I don't think about them much. If anything, I notice the silence. There are no family group chats to mute, no awkward birthdays to plan. Work has settled into a steady pace. I rent a small apartment on the other side of town. The walls are blank. It's quiet, but I don't mind it. On a Friday night in early spring, I stop at a cafe after work. It's busy. People crowd the counter, and there's the usual scraping of chairs and clink of cups. I stand in line, scrolling my phone, waiting for a latte. That's when I see them, my parents across the room, wedged into a corner booth. My mother, wearing the same scarf I bought her years ago. My father looks older than I remember. They're both hunched over their drinks, talking to each other but not smiling. They don't notice me. I suppose I blend in. I don't alter my steps or hesitate. I pick up my coffee, slip past their table, and walk out onto the street. The air is cold, sharp on my skin. I feel nothing at all. No urge to turn back. No anger. No relief either. Just a blank space where the old tension used to be. That night, Liam texts me. Dinner, I reply, sure. I don't explain anything. Don't mention the cafe. When I meet him, I'm already somewhere else in my head. I laugh at something he says. It's easy, lighter than I remember feeling in years. I go home alone, shut the door, and listen to the quiet. It's not heavy anymore. It's just there. When it's your own family shutting the door on you, what's the right response? I tried to stay quiet, keep the peace, pretend it was normal. But looking back, I wonder if silence helped them more than it helped me. Some people say you should always forgive, no matter what. Others say there's a limit. If you'd been in my place watching the people you grew up with treat you like an outsider, would you have kept trying to win them back? Or would you have walked away, even if that meant starting over alone? I'd like to know how other people handle it when the people closest to them show their true colors. Was there a moment that made you cut ties, or did you stay and hope things would change? If you've got a story like this, share a time reading every comment. If this hit close to home, subscribing helps me keep sharing these, and maybe someone else needs to hear it too. I still think about what I'd do if they ever reached out again. Would you answer, or let the silence speak for itself?